What's going on, guys? Pegasus and the Wise Guys. We have some doozy of some videos coming up. We got Meta of Tomorrow, Splight. Let's get into it. Terralements is tomorrow. Let's get it. Alrighty, guys. So you guys saw the layout before I even start off. Just so you guys completely understand, I don't want to waste anybody's time, and everything is laid out for your convenience. I first wanted to touch on Splight Blue. Splight Blue is pretty much the Stratos to the whole deck. Always got to explain it that way. It's a fast way of explaining it. It just helps you to get to other cards. One of the other cards that you're going to be talking about is Splight Carrot. You're going to have to search for one of these cards, a sneak peek whenever this set actually drops. Splight Jet also is another card that is pretty much an extender. Splight Starter is the quick play spell that helps you to get to cards quickly in the Splight engine, like an E-Telly. And then Splight Red, lastly but not least, is a destroy monster. The other one, the Carrot, is a negation on field, similar to Appaloosa. And then for the rest of the level 2s, I could go on and on for 27 pages, and believe me, if you don't believe me, give me a second. 27 pages of how many level 2s there are and how much stuff that you could add in. Obviously, you see down on the side deck, there's a little bit of some spice down there as well, which I won't cover today, but can cover in the future. Now, as far as some of the popular level 2s that you obviously have to play, Swap Frog is obviously public enemy number 1, simply because the Exceed can special out the Swap Frog and then go off from there. The Diva obviously is the other level 2 that obviously comes to mind when thinking about this deck. But you also want to think about some of the additional cards, whether that be Crumble Logos, Mannequin Cat, and some of the other Exceeds that may actually have huge interactions that may buffer themselves inside of mirror matches. I could see Mannequin Cat mattering a little bit, and so on and so forth with a lot of the other cards. Cat Shark's another card that comes to mind. Obviously, guys, in case you have ever forgotten, Maxi is a level 2, which is insane. Cyberstein is a level 2, which is insane. And again, I can do a video that is completely dedicated to that, because if a Splight Elf is pointing at a Cyberstein and you're not locked into the Exceed, because the Exceed locks you into not being able to do anything else, if you can combine those two and not have to use the Exceed, you can basically have an infinite amount of negates that also has a card that cannot be targeted, whether it be Interior, Exterior, or whatever card that you can actually special summon out. So guys, that's what I wanted to touch on, just to briefly kind of talk over the deck. The deck is just really, really stupid and really, really insane, and it has one of the most explosive ceilings as far as comboing off, although it's kind of not necessarily comboing off, but how it can interrupt you from its main baseline combo. I haven't seen a deck like that in a long time. This is probably the first time since Spiral. I don't necessarily think it's going to be the Spiral level over here, because Maxi is banned over here. Therefore, being able for them to search that and then replenish your entire hand really put a lot more emphasis on who's winning the dice roll. And if they win a dice roll versus another deck that isn't Splight, then that deck's just going to get his head taken off. That's just the facts of the matter, unless you're opening up like Fluandry. Fluandry's Terralements was a deck like that as well, because Terralements can interrupt you with a turn 0 window, and we have a video for that coming as well. I really wanted to touch on all that and just let you guys kind of look over the cards, and if you've completely ignored this part and you're already on the combo version, you won't hear any of this. But I also wanted to touch on Emergency Teleport into Psy-Frame Gear Gamma is an additional extender in case you start to maybe you've already resolved a gamma on your opponent's turn. You're also going to have the additional gammas not be so much bricks in your deck. Then you have cards like Hero Kid to tie in the stuff, and Small World with Cyberstein and all kind of stuff. There's ways to get Cyberstein in your hand, guys. If you think there's not, just give it some time. Look over Small World. If you need to see it in a combo video, make sure you like this video. I'll come up with it inside of a week. This card, Splight Starter, is the emergency teleport for the deck. You lose life points equal to the original attack, blah, blah, blah. You guys, you can get that anytime. It's easy for you to understand. Basically, starting off with that Splight Blue card, though, it's the Stratos of the deck, as I said before. Gonna search Splight Jet here. Splight Jet pretty much as a spam onto the field, and then it allows you to complete the perfect circle here, which is the add the card that you actually started off the combo with, because you're adding a Splight Spell or Trap. Now, when they say Splight Spell or Trap and not Splight Starter, then I would assume that future iterations of cards will come out in the future. You know, like they always said Necros Trap, but we haven't seen it yet. But we definitely have some real possibilities of having more Splight cards. You're getting the overlay for the Gigantic Splight. Gigantic Splight is pretty much going to be the axis to the whole deck because it allows you to special summon out some of the level 2, Swap Frog being the number 1 deck that comes to mind, and then Swap Frog being able to do its thing, bounce itself or another card, which you'll see that in the combo later, and then get to Splight Elf by linking those two away. Obviously, know that with the Exceed, you're locked into Link 2s and Exceed 2s for the rest of the turn, so you can't do anything else, and then obviously level 2s as well. And then from there, having a Splight Elf pointing at a Totally Awesome, and then having the same interruption with that quick play also being able to interrupt your opponent on their turn as well. Make sure that you understand that. That card is really, really powerful and going to be an easy hit whenever they actually hit this deck. Now, having an interruption and then having a Splight Elf to be able to pull back the Toad onto the field to be able to negate again, a Dupe Frog to protect that. Maybe you would want to have Dupe Frog in a way where they can't target it as well. Guys, it really is something to marvel at with this deck, how smooth it can take advantage of the game. It's not the most powerful deck that I've ever seen. That's not where it's going to beat you. It's going to beat you in this, it's going to beat you to death in like this simplified, getting to the point and getting the game over with kind of style. It's gonna dominate game one, very similar to Thunder Dragons because it's extremely oppressive. You can already see how oppressive this is. And especially extraordinarily oppressive if they don't hit Halka-Fibrax, which you'll see in a combo in a second. But trust me, this deck is definitely going to be tier 1 over here. Obviously with Diva, I just wanted to show, starting off the combo, you're getting a special summon out of any Sea Serpent that's that low, or any level 3 that's that low. You guys know about Diva. I don't need to go over that unless you have been living under a rock. You saw what it was doing over the years with Mermail and some of the Atlantean stuff. But then again, this is the same combo, guys. You're getting to start off, get the 2 level 2s, overlay, special summon out Swap Frog, then get into the Link, bring back the Swap Frog, and then get to the same exact combo. That combo is not going to change. That's the baseline that you're just going to have to understand each and every time that you do the combos. And then obviously your hand is going to change a little bit. Maybe you can extend a little bit farther. Maybe you don't need to. Make sure that you always note that when you're learning a new deck. How much do you need to extend without like killing yourself? And that's definitely going to matter if we don't have Maxi over here, because Maxi makes it not matter over there, which makes it tier 0. That's where all my basis for all my opinion comes from. Again, the same combo, guys, but this time having a Splight Jet in your hand to be able to add the quick play. And then from there, it's the same combo again, detaching to then special summon out Swap Frog to dump a Ronin, then to link those two off into Halka-Fibrax. And now, here's where a little bit of the silliness starts to begin. First with this combo, getting to then link into the Splight Jet, then to link to bring that back. I feel like all of these are just the full extension of what the deck can do, but this isn't necessarily a meta situation where I'm playing correctly around Nibiru, where I'm playing correctly around cards that people are going to be able to find out and be able to adjust to. But then again, when you see a lot of this stuff rolling, guys, it's just doing enough. Now, obviously, I wanted to mention as well that Halka-Fibrax, if you haven't completely forgotten, can special summon out Formula Synchron, which is another level 2, which you won't be locked out on your opponent's turn. And it just begins to be so many interruptions. You got the Totally Awesome, the Dupe Frog is protecting that. The Splight Jet is going to be able to bring back the Totally Awesome. A Formula Synchron is going to be able to make a Herald of the Arclight. That's what I mean, guys. That's how, like, the layered interruptions right here, this is where the deck is going to be absolutely ridiculous unless you can completely, like, wipe their board. Trust me, it's just really, really insane. This card is really, really interesting, and I keep seeing it right next to these other cards, the Splight cards, as well as the Terralement stuff. So I wanted to talk about it. Yamakato Roach. This card is dumb. Just know that. It's a Sea Serpent, which means if Diva can special summon this out, which it can, if it makes an 8 or lower, the card gains 800 attack. If it goes to 9 or higher, it gets piercing. Interesting, but that's not necessarily relevant right here. What is relevant right here is the Diva can special summon it out, and it basically is an 8. And then when 8 plus a 2, a Synchro is going to hit the field awfully quick. Now this is 4 summons, and then this next one that would be upcoming would be the 5th, which allows you to play around Nibiru, which means this deck is not going to give a crap about Nibiru, or everybody's going to have a ton of hand traps and they're going to have like Veiler Nibiru or Imperm Nibiru. It's just going to matter what turns out to be when that happens. You guys all know what happens with that. Now, as far as some of the other stuff, after you've made that Baron, you're going to have additional level 2s if you've opened the correct cards. Most of the time, you're just going to be able to extend, guys. Even if you can't, you're going to be able to probably get to the Splight starter and get here anyway. And then from there, it's the same repeated combo of, again, special summoning out Swap Frog, dumping the Ronin Totem, and then from there, doing the same kind of setup all over again. Just make sure that everybody's clear on this card. You get locked into the 2s. After you've done that, again, Splight Jet being able to special summon back the Swap Frog. And then from here, you're going right back to the same loop over again to then special summon out and end on pretty much the same board. But I feel that sometimes on your opponent's turn, you may want to end on double Toad. There's going to be just different scenarios, and there's going to be specific hands where you can probably get there, or there's going to be someone's going to come up with some card where you can end on like double Toad instead to be able to take control of specific stuff. Maybe you're playing against Enforcers. Enforcer's still a thing in a couple months. What if I need to block a card and steal it and then block the Enforcer as well? So I need to end on double Toad. That's what I mean. These boards are going to be really, really insane for any rogue deck to deal with. But in general, this in general means more interruptions, because this is what the quick play means. This is what I wanted to describe a little bit earlier. But having double Toad, having doubles, it's going to matter what happens in the future, and there's no way for me to predict the future. I'm not Rasputin. Now, guys, I've been rambling here, and I don't feel like I've been rambling. I feel like I had to explain all of this so that I could fully explain the deck. I don't do all the back and forth matches. I just don't have the time, but I just want to show the combos and the baseline so that everybody can get an understanding. On this specific one, you can actually get 2 Baron, essentially, if you have a powerful hand, within 4. So Nibiru, again, is almost irrelevant to this deck. A majority of the time, it's very often going to be completely irrelevant. In this specific combo, guys, I wanted to show how you get to actually bounce hand traps, and this is where I feel a real possibility is how Fibrax could get preemptively banned on the next ban list, because it would make perfect sense so that you can completely take this away from us in the TCG, and they've already kind of seen how it already plays out in the OCG. And then maybe that's why they do it from a business sense, although I don't agree with it and do feel like we should have one global game. I definitely feel that this is absolutely insane to be able to do this, because nobody ever reads Swap Frog, and Swap Frog has a specific effect that says bounce a card. It doesn't necessarily say bounce anything else. It says bounce a card, which is nutty, and you end on the same thing, and you get to have whatever you want in your hand as long as it is a tuner that you can get off Fibrax. Just something to think about, guys. It's really, really insane. Guys, let me know what you think about this down in the comments, and make sure that you look forward to this Terralements deck and all of the combos that are coming. Appreciate you for tuning in. I'm out. Pegasus out. Ciao, Bella.